Welcome to the Imperfect Show. Today we're going to be talking about my experience with PTSD. I don't know what I didn't realize and what I then realized. That's where we're going to start. And it's just kind of random and it's been on my mind lately, so I figured I'd talk about it. So, as you guys know, if you guys have been listening, is I've been a firefighter for 9 years. I got divorced back in 2017, I believe. And I've had to regain everything. So basically, if we're going to start, I believe symptoms of my PTSD, which I didn't think I had. I didn't even really realize it, because as a firefighter, originally we are taught to not show how we're feeling and be honest and all that. And that's all right. Some of us can get away with that. Others, well, we tend to cope different ways. And some drink, some smoke, some do drugs. And that's all right. I remember when I first started, and the first 4 years of firefighting, I'd always go after bad calls and stuff and go and sit and drink to get drunk, just to not think about it. And just, also adding that I started working at the hospital at a very young age too, which is crazy to even think about. I've done some crazy stuff, seen some crazy stuff, and maybe at some point I can get into that. But right now, I just want to talk about mental health and all that, and kind of like you don't really realize it. It wasn't until I would say, I don't know, last year, I was having fun. I knew I was overweight, 260 pounds. I was like, I gotta do something about it. And I did. Started running 3 miles, 6 miles, all that. And I had a friend that I met on TikTok, and we started talking and started saying, hey, it'd be fun to do a half marathon. Come do one at Coeur d'Alene. And I'm like, why not? Before that, a week before that, I had the firefighter. What was it? Was it a week before? Yeah, a week before that, I had the firefighter challenge up in Leavenworth, and that's like 1,600 elevation gain with your yellows, no max, and 45 pounds on your back. That was a lot of fun. It was tough, but fun. I was training for that, training for a half marathon, training hard. And my friend that was with me, she was a very big motivator, very much like I am, motivate, push, and it was great. It was awesome. Did an amazing job, and then I come to find out I enjoyed it. I enjoyed running. I enjoyed all that. And so from there, it started to become unhealthy. After my first marathon, did my first marathon on October 5th of 2024. And even before that, I was doing half marathons. Like, it was fun. And it was a hoot. Went to Missoula, Montana, and did a half marathon, and did all these half marathons. And from May to June, I lost 100 pounds. 100 pounds. Believe that. Isn't that crazy? I went from 260 to 160. Just like that. And that was due to not eating right. I was getting injured the first time I started really training for this, and just it it was crazy. The more I looked into it, the more I was like, "Oh, this is cool," and the more I just started enjoying it. Along with that, I was still going with my nightmares and night terrors and all that, and that sucked, but it's all right. I I would wake up and go for a run per se, go for exercise anywhere, and I'd start at 2 a.m. in the morning, go for a run either on the road or on a treadmill, and just started to make that a habit of after I'd have a bad nightmare or a terror dream where I'd wake up sweating and just scared, I would just go for a run. Or after a fire call, even there's a on my training plan, there was an 18-mile run I had to get done. So there's me at 2 a.m. in the morning running from Brewster past Pateris almost to the bottom of Chelan and back just to do an 18-miler. Now, that was crazy. I will say that because there's a couple times I just about got hit and did not look pretty, but I got her done. I also learned that when I was pissed off and irritated, that's the other thing. I would just go for a run. Like that was some of my best times ever. Like a 10-mile run, I could do in 8 minutes a mile, and that was crazy. So beats the point. After all that, and after doing a full marathon, that was a lot of fun. That was an experience of a lifetime. But from there, I didn't have any more goals for a little bit, and I put I wanted to stay in shape and keep up the running, and so I did, but it got out of hand. We're talking the middle of winter in December. It's like 4 degrees out, and I'm over here at 2 a.m. in the morning just running from Okanagan to Omak, and just running back like it was normal. And then after work, I'd go for a run or go for a bike ride or whatever. And I'd started to get unhealthy. And people asked me, what's going on? Well, I'm fine. I could tell everybody I'm fine. After it got past December, I started sleeping really terribly. I was only getting maybe 3 hours of sleep. My terror dreams were getting worse and worse. And in December, I had pulled a friend aside and said, "Hey, I'm starting to have thoughts of suicide." And I wanted to make sure I put that out there just so somebody knew that it came to my mind. I didn't know what to do. I didn't really want to talk about it. I just wanted to trust the people that I trusted. And I moved on, started running more and more and more to the point where I was doing it twice a day. I was running, just running, or yoga, or whatever, something active. And that got to the point of that's too much. And I didn't know that because come to find out that was my addiction, was exercising. The reason I would do it is because I keep my mind busy, keep my mind occupied. I didn't have to think about it. Didn't have to think about what was going on in my life and how I was feeling. And coming home to an empty house and feeling worthless, even though I just felt like nobody cared. And I learned that I had triggers, and when I would go into my triggers, I'd get set off, and I wouldn't even realize it, but I'd start cussing up a storm or running or saying the F word multiple times, and I'd go off on my mom. I'd go off on anybody who was close to me, and it wasn't pretty, and I never realized it. It didn't come on. It didn't dawn on me. But here we are, and did that and did that, and it got to the point where I just wanted to go home and not see anybody. So I would, and just get to the point where I just went home, exercised, and went to bed. Get up early, went for another run just to keep my mind busy, so I didn't have to think about all the stuff that was going through my mind. Uh, from then, February comes around, and one day I just in one of those moods of I'm gonna finally do it. I'm gonna finally follow through and everything. And that day, I got in an argument with a friend, and if they didn't get in an argument with me, I was gonna commit suicide. And I yelled, and we got in an argument, and I slipped up, and I said, "Well, I said I was gonna be dead. I already had a plan and everything." And she and they thought I was just being upset, mad at me because. So that night, I remember coming home from work, dropping my work keys so they could find them and not have to worry about them. And I went to go say goodbye to just a close friend. My plan was to go up to a lake and drown myself because that was one of my terror dreams, was dealing with a accident that involved a drowning child, and those are the hard ones for me. And so I wanted to relive or live my last moments like that child did. So comes around, and I straight out went to a friend and just started talking and just feeling and trying and just all the above. And that friend reached out to my parents and my other friends, and luckily they had my location. I shared it, and they found me, and they made me promise I would spend the night with my friend over there, and I did. Then I was going to go to the clinic to go get help to the walk-in. Went to go to the walk-in and ask for help. What they told me was the most craziest thing ever. It made me feel just worthless, and like mine was just nothing. And that was telling them, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling. I'm really want to commit suicide, and I need help." And they said, "If you're not actively committing suicide, we can't help you." And that just broke me down. Yeah. I cried and cried and cried. Anyway, from there, I was doing better. I was like, I'm doing pretty good. 2 weeks later, something else triggered me. And I went back into that fight or flight mode of, I need to die. I just remember turning off my location, driving my truck, and I was lucky that night too. I had a close friend, my buddy Amy, to be. She's been there through everything from we both watching a firefighter die to she always being there at my hard times. And so we she was trying to get a hold of me, talk to me, and I was in that fight or flight mode. And I just remember going to the Home Depot parking lot crying and screaming and everything. I was just scared, and I just didn't want to live. And I just remember yelling and cussing at her. And my other friends, they were at Disneyland, and they stopped and helped me. And I promised them I'd go to the hospital that day or that morning. to go get help. And I spent the night at my buddy Amy's house, and that's somebody that's always stuck with me, from always had my back. I then went to the hospital to go get help, and they still sent me home after I told them I had a plan. I knew what I was going to do and everything. I had people mad at me because they thought I was just joking around, and just had people scared. And I understand. I can be scary when I'm in fight or flight mode, and I just it was a sad moment. From there, went home and just cried because they didn't do anything. They didn't help me. They just sent me home. That was not a cheap bill either, just to sit there in a paper sack and a mental room, basically, that's protected so you can't commit suicide. I just remember crying and just feeling worthless, feeling everything. And then from there, it's crazy. My buddy from the coast told me about Deer Hollow. And that was a great time of figuring that out and getting me to that right area. And that night, I had a police officer reach out personally, wanting to help. And then I had another friend that's had similar problems and reached out and helped. And well, I think I'm going to do a part two. This is just part one.